Hello, good morning. You are watching QTV this morning. I am Ibrahim Abalde. We are back again, and we are still on Ramadan mood, and we are almost at the omega of the Ramadan, the alpha and the omega. Mr. Mbodj, xam naa ne yaaga nga dégg alpha, beginning, omega. Buguma nga ñëw di ma attaque nag lu moo wax nii lu moo lifin nii. Why, Julde, good morning. How are you?
Good morning, Balde.
Suñ fi wax si nama nañ la démba de. Where have you been?
I was like, don't they understand?
Too much things.
Yeah, honestly. But I'm glad to be back on this program. I'm going to Mr. Mbodj moom bu ko dee faale moom dafa old fashioned.
Wow, I know.
So dafa war a di adapt. This is the 21st century.
Mooy ne affaire pol.
Yeah, ko faale.
You know. Mr. Mamadou Mbodj, how are you?
Alhamdulillah. So isn't it the new fashion? It's more like newfangled. There's no fashion in the new. I haven't seen anything.
So lu fi xewoon na fi.
Absolutely, always. It's like a rubber ball. You need to bounce back, right?
Mos nga def afro.
Big time. Massive afro. Then later on, dreadlocks, mind you.
Waaw gis naa sa dreadlocks yi.
Yeah.
Non Mr. Mbodj sa dreadlocks yi dañ nice on.
Mr. Mbodj
nekk am na time am.
ma jaaxal man.
Bu ma gisee ay nataal bi ma xool ko ma ne kii ka la ñu ne mu ne ma ne man la son ma ne ko ne.
I cannot believe it.
Absolutely.
Dreadlocks.
So you just never know. So xale dañ dee foog ne dañ garaaw def nañ.
Waaw.
So am na mag yoo xam ne def nañ ba toog.
Toog every movement ñoom xam
ñu
nañ
gis nañ fi nga
waaye du benn nag Mr. Mbodj.
Dëgg la.
du benn.
loolu du ever mën a nekk benn.
Yeah.
yéen seen bos ñorut.
non dafa ànd ak toj.
xam nga liñ jawa the raw and the cooked. yéen da ngeen raw ñun we are well cooked.
dañu doon nii.
Yéen
torop sax.
you go in 100%.
yéen ñorangu leen. you know yéen mu ngee boil.
mu ngoog mu ne ñun ñor.
It's boiling.
ok baax na amul
Gen Z
problème.
generation come after Mr. Mbodj.
ñun X lañ.
ex ngeen waaw.
Generation X. xam nga yi yàgg na really.
Thank you.
So ñu exit Z.
Thank you. waaye ñun suñ generation. ñun ñoo gën a nanda seen generation.
No way.
ñun am nañ ay internet am nañ yu mel loolu yéen amu leen loolu.
no am ngeen technology. It doesn't mean nanda. am na nu ma ko use man am na nu ma war a change pour mën ne dama nanda. So am ngeen ni technology de ma ngi leen ñeebe the internet and all of that you can research anything. waaye yéen seen xel nekkul ci loolu yéen fo. You play more than you do serious work. Yéen fo. da ngeen bëgg a foto.
dañ bari caaxaan. Okay, all right. So what will happen to a nation boo xam ne younger generation bi maanaam seen xel ak seen notion yëpp si fox la.
No, that was just sort of kidding. Ni nga always society dafa layered. You will always have xale yoo xam ne segment boo xam ne they'll be doing great things. There's no denying that. Why? Because of the layering. Dina am tam ñu bari at the bottom they wouldn't be doing much. Xëy na crime fa laa jógee social ills yi dina fa jógee. So loolu la da nga am the dividend. Da nga am the wonderful things from the young people. Waaye tamit the underbelly as I call it you have to deal with that. Beneen boobu tam dina ñëw. That's how it is.
But I believe that to some extent, young people of this country are doing pretty much well. You know, in so many areas, technology, entrepreneurship, just name it. Now there is that independence that I'm seeing. There is a surge of, young people having the realization of self-independence. You don't depend on people to do stuff. We've seen young people doing so many stuff. Even, the internet, the technology that you're talking about. We've seen a lot of young people leverage on these technologies, and they are doing great things.
Oh, it will certainly happen. That sort of thing will certainly happen. Li ñoo wax rek ne also prepare for the other bits.
Yes.
See, gis nañ ne fu young people bari xam nga ñun xam nañ suñ economy naka lañ mel xam nañ suñ societies naka la mel xam nga naka nga absorber all of these people into employment, gainful employment and other things xam nga so much ni nga am tamit li gars yi ooyee the time bomb. It's either the youth dividend they call it or the time bomb. So da nga moytu naka nga increase the opportunity to pull the dividend and get more. And how do you deal with also that seething as it were, mass. You know, job amut, how do you deal with that? So how do you adapt to this new world now? This is weird. Society will have the holiday upper. By far, it wasn't like that.
It wasn't.
Really, until recently, like starting this, obviously because of Western medicine and attitudes, life yage gonna them longer, hala yage gonna dunda. So really, because of science, medicine, more you can start the hell. Really.
Exactly. I mean, generation differ. I mean, every generation comes with, you know, its advantages and disadvantages.
Sure.
You know, danga set netam so sete yenen generation yo hamne passé nañ am na ñun luñ len tane so len sete tam although maybe yen am ngeen more of lo len ñu tane because you people you went through the hard way. Of course am na ñoo xam ne ñun tam we've gone through the hard way ndaxte man fu ma jaar ku fa jaar taxaban waaw xam naa julde tam am na story keneen am na story so life is like that am na situations yoo xam ne daf dee tax nga muus nga mun a realize sa boppa nga mun a taxawal sa boppa.
Sure.
Yeah. So that is what it is. Legi lu ñoo def mooy we'll take a look at the African code. From the code, then the newspaper review, and Mr. Momodou Mbodj will do that with us. From there, we will be talking to Julde. Tay def na fi lu garaaw de. Man ma def segment bi and NHIA. I mean, ñooñu la ñoo invite. And
that is the National Health Insurance
I know
Authority.
I am going to leave the whole conversation with Julde today. Yes. So let's do the Bambara proverb today. And Julde, please take read it. We
have Hausa and now it's Bambara. I don't know when we're going to have a fuller proverb. So our proverb this morning reads, "Don't sit on the horse's nose, no matter how much you know about horses." It's an interesting one.
Wow. Absolutely.
Will you give the first shot?
I don't know. Yeah, the first thing Mahala, the first phrase that came into my head was, yes, don't piss me off, no matter how much. You think that you're close to me or you know me. I got that sort of thing.
You're talking my talk there.
So I didn't know. There are so many different levels out there. Don't do foolish things or sort of be wrong-headed because you think that you know something or you think that you understand something. We do these things all the time. Or even take people for granted. I've even interpreted it in that way. Typically in Wolof, how do we put it? Oh, sour, small while, and I will do the nastiest things to you. Hang on, small while, and I'll be irritating. I'll be doing things that I shouldn't be doing. I'll be sitting on your nose. It really, you know, based on the fact that, he's my man, I know him, you know, he will let me off. You can't do that.
Absolutely.
So there are different levels that one can appreciate this sort of thing.
Someone is asking, can you sit on a nose?
It's metaphorical. Tell the person that...
We are talking to the people who have understanding.
So tell the person that, yes, you can, metaphorically.
We are talking to the people who...
Wow. So when it doesn't mean necessarily
you are sitting on someone's nose.
Disrespecting the person. So
no, ku text dama nekk di defanteeg moom.
Ku text
ku send message dama nekk di defanteeg moom. We are talking to people with brains. We are talking to people who interpret, you know, with intellect. We are talking to people who understands what these things are. But we are not talking to people who are left-sided.
So my own interpretation, it's like Mr. Mbodj's. For instance, a classical example of that is the fact that, okay, I'm very close to Mr. Mbodj, you know, we joke and all of that, but it doesn't mean that I should not have boundaries or, you know, when it comes to certain things, you can't really, you know, disrespect people, or you can't say certain things to people just because you have good relationship with those people. I mean, you ought to set boundaries when, you know, you're dealing with people. And secondly, also, don't be arrogant if you're if you're knowledgeable of you or you're skilled about something or a profession, I mean, don't think that you know more than anyone else, you know, because sometimes, you know, what you think you know, you don't actually know. I mean, for me, it's not all about being a loud mouth, but it's having the intellect, it's having the skills, the knowledge. Why got taste, got dull? It doesn't mean, okay, shouting all over the place doesn't make you an intelligent person or a smart person. It just reveals your true colors. So for me, it's setting boundaries, knowing when to act and when not to act, knowing what to do and what not to do at the right places.
Absolutely. I'm not you done when it's actually the more you know that you know
don't
nothing.
know. Yeah, absolutely.
It's very humbling, really.
Yeah.
So folks, handling than what empty barrels
Make them
that's
noise.
the loudest. So
Yeah.
one can see stuff like that. So let us sort of be mindful of limitations. Yeah, I think that's essential.
Yeah, sure.
Be mindful of limitations. Everything's got its limitation.
Well, I think proverb is somehow similar to that of yesterday. What is the goat doing at the leopard's? Wow. So it's somehow similar.
Be cautious,
because
be thoughtful. Yeah.
the goat is silly
what you
to
mean.
an extent that it want to dine with the leopard. You know, at some point you are risking your life. So it's important to know your limitations as an individual wherever you stop. You know, you need to understand, okay, I should get to this level, you know, be it your life, you understand, or between you and another individual, you understand. So there should be a limitation. So once there is a limitation, we will all live peacefully. And the risk of wrecking yourself would be limited.
I'm not sure that we will live peacefully. There will always be sources of tension anywhere. I think that what they call conflict, sometimes disagreement is inbuilt in social relationships. That will always happen. The trick is, when it occurs, how do you deal with it? In any society, with anybody, that is always the trick. When these things come up, how do you deal with it? But they will come up once in a while.
Sure.
Just as the wall of proverb, the tongue and the mouth and the teeth, they live together, but once in a while they accidentally bite
they
their
have
tongue.
issues,
They have issues. So to live forever, the romantic stuff, Milson Boone stuff, leave it in the books. In reality, it's much more complicated.
Forever happy.
At this point, we'll take a short break. And after the break, then we will delve into the newspapers. So we'll be right back.
Back again with its easy-to-use, secure and convenient mobile app that allows you to carry out all your transactions. No matter where you are or what time it is, you can always access your funds. With the new Q Money app, you can cash in and out, buy credit, buy Q Power, shop, make payments, and so much more. You can also send Q Money, pay bills, receive international remittances, and transfer cash to others. Just download the app from your Play Store or App Store and get started. For more information, call customer care on 133. Q Money, Sinu Calpe. We innovate, others follow.
Thank you very much. You're watching QTV this morning. I am Ibrahim Abalde. We are back after that short break. And of course, be reminded, Q Money got you covered. I mean, for you to send money to your family, loved ones, friends all over the Gambia, Q Money is the most reliable platform to use and send money. And you can do a lot of things on the Q Money platform as well, buy credit top up, and of course, you know, cash power, you know, you can buy data, half the price, you know, of the normal rate. So Q Money, it's the right platform and very secure. Whenever you want to send money, it's easier. And we've also collaborated with Orange Money Senegal, where you would be able to send money to your family and loved ones. And it's coming to Korité very soon. This is an opportunity for you to use and use this platform to send money while it's secure. Don't make a mistake of trying to send money to your loved ones and accidentally buy credit. You understand? You know, there are people that complain to me using other platforms, other mobile money wallets, you understand, to send money. Can you imagine the last person wanted to send someone $3,000 using a particular mobile money wallet and he bought credit $3,000.
Oh, you're joking.
You understand? So it's crazy.
Yeah, it is.
If the platform is not secured, you cannot.
You can,
I mean,
think I was a victim of one of the mobile money.
You see?
I was supposed to
Another
send the
victim.
money. Instead of that, I sent it in credit form.
Another victim.
I did not realize that.
But was it your own human error? Or is it that you want to send money, but for some reason the mechanism would give it to you as credit? Is it your fault or the platform's fault?
Here,
What is it?
the platform is not user-friendly.
Oh,
That
okay.
platform is not user-friendly to an extent, because when you enter your number, you know, there is nothing like confirm. You understand? Confirm password. Are you sure you want to buy credit for this
So
number?
it's easy to make mistakes.
So it's
Mistakes,
easy to
yeah,
make
the
mistakes.
moment
Okay.
it's
Yes.
just a matter of clicking
Yes.
and it's done.
So you want to
Yeah.
you want to save yourself from that.
Of course.
Use Q Money. I mean, it's the most reliable platform. You understand? So that is what it is. Let's move.
So our papers, we have the Standard, Point and Foroya. So the Point newspaper, one headline there, Judiciary expresses disagreement with Afrobarometer findings. So the Afrobarometer findings are saying that half of the majority of Gambians do not trust in the judiciary or the courts, and they don't believe that, you know, poor people or ordinary Gambians can get justice in Gambia's judicial sector. So they are saying that they disagree with the findings.
Do they have a rival survey? Have they done their own survey to really
I
question
don't
that?
know.
Or is it the methodology? What precisely are they?
Disagreeing with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, what precisely is going on here?
Yeah.
I do not know.
So the Afrobarometer.
But I'm also, I have to say, I'm surprised in the sense that some time back I thought a good number of Gambians had confidence in the judiciary far more than in other agencies of state, as it were, in other areas of state. So I'm a bit
Yeah, this
surprised
is
there, I
not
have
the
to say.
case with especially their March report, because it is saying that, I have the report here, findings show that fewer than half of Gambians trust the courts, are confident that
Okay,
ordinary people
fewer
can
than half.
Fewer than half Gambians,
Trust the
the
courts.
courts.
Okay.
fewer than.
Half.
Half.
So 40-something perhaps.
Well, it means
Yeah.
it means
Yeah.
a large chunk of
Chunk.
Gambians. I
Yeah.
mean, you know, they have mixed feeling when it
Yeah.
comes to the court. I mean, let's talk about to what extent can a person get to, you know, not to trust the courts of the Gambia? Is it the slow, justice process, dispensing justice?
Absolutely. And there, let us be careful what Afrobarometer is doing.
Yeah.
It is surveying perceptions. I once listened to the CEO of Afrobarometer. Africa is an Africa-wide network. He said they had also found out that perceptions could be different from reality. They had seen that as well. People, sometimes they think that things are worse than they actually are. So remember that they're measuring perceptions, not realities. Let's be careful there. And it was the CEO of Afrobarometer making that point. I think South African when he was interviewed. It was the time he was interviewed. So let us be careful with that. And then yes, we move on to justice denied is justice delayed is justice denied.
Yeah.
Yes, there's a the judiciary will accept. They will tell you that, yes, for a lot of cases, they take too long. So recently, they've been trying to bring in, isn't it, divisional courts to deal with different areas, isn't it?
Yeah.
So they know about it, so they try to do something about it as well. But that's the case.
So, so the Foroyaa newspaper, they're asking why should registration of voters take place in 2025?
Why should it not? What is the argument? I do not know what their argument is. There are so many young people, so many people are coming up. They sort of, how many have turned 18?
Yes.
So how many have turned 18?
Yes.
What is the issue with
Probably, I mean, they might, they might be saying it's early to do the registration now.
When was the last one we did? Wasn't it
2021?
Did we have
election?
a registration 2021 or before that?
No, before
that.
Before that, yes.
I think it's around 2025, 2015.
No,
before the 2016 election.
Was it?
Yeah.
Yes,
Okay, around the
2015.
period.
Yes.
So can you imagine how many have really turned 18?
A lot of people.
You know what I mean? We essentially,
probably
very,
some
very
have also
youthful.
lost their voters cards.
All sorts of reasons.
So replacement
why.
and all those
But
things.
what is the fear? It will be interesting to know what the fear is. What is it that is the main argument, the base?
We should
have
delved into that. I think
henceforth,
henceforth we have to start going into the newspapers, to take a look at the inside of these papers.
No, but with us as well, the problem is in the morning, by the time we come on air, you don't have the newspapers. They're not round yet. They don't bring them round. And perhaps even when you go online, they're not even there. So we are also operating in very difficult circumstances, and we want to have.
So let's talk about the ban of using motorcycle as taxi. It is very common around the URR, and of course other parts of URR, the satellite villages. This is a mode of transport that people, use to access their destinations. But now there is a press release coming from the Office of the Assistant Inspector General of Operation. Okay, they are telling us that there is no law in the Constitution of the Gambia, or there is no particular code that said, okay, we should use motorcycles as taxi in the Gambia. The only vehicles allowed to ply as taxi is the four-wheel drives.
There's no law saying this. There's no law saying this. There's no law saying that. I also have a feeling that in our constitution, there's no law saying that you cannot use motorcycles as a bicycle, as a taxi. Everything is open. It's just that so far we've been doing A, B, C, and D. But these things, that was just an overkill. It's really the area council that decides some of these things, especially with transport. What might be appropriate for one area may not be appropriate for another area.
Yeah.
Perhaps here in the greater Banjul area, you don't necessarily need that. But in Bassa, you said, there are certain remote villages where these people, it really helps.
Yeah.
If we have specific reasons regarding safety, let's address that. Like one can understand, why you don't want to do that. But otherwise, to give me this bland, almost disemboweled, there's nothing in it, explanation that, the Constitution doesn't say this. You're not managing.
Mr. Mboj, we all go by the Constitution of the Gambia. You understand? It is the book that we all should follow as a nation. So what about if it's not stated in the Constitution?
Hey.
So what are we going to do? Are we going to find ways to maneuver?
Young man, let's understand what a constitution is. It doesn't give you any details, really. Just general principles of how to do A, B, C, and D, what institutions to establish, when it comes to the minutiae, the details of what happens, this is where we supply it. The Constitution can never give you that. That's not the job of a Constitution. Since we've had this debate, we've had constitutional lawyers telling us, hey, look, calm down. A Constitution is not like a blueprint containing everything. It doesn't work like that. It's about general principles of how do you do A, B, C, and D, what institutions to have, what processes, if you want to select a president, use this process and that sort of thing. These are generalities. But whether we're going to use motorbike as a taxi, a Constitution can never give you that answer. That is about your politics, what's going on, the reality, the feasibility. You know what I mean? Do we have enough safety measures in place? Obviously, you think about all of that. These are the relevant details.
My only issue with the Gambia police force, I mean, there are things that, okay, they are very committed to do. That is trying to ban motorcycles for taxi. Okay, right. But there is another, part in the Constitution of the Gambia that said, okay, driver's license should be renewed every 3 years. But they are asking drivers to renew their license every year.
Well, I
how very revealing. You've said a lot in there just by saying that. You've said a lot.
Yeah, I mean, I had the commissioner for police, King Koli, last Sinugali, and that was the argument for the fact that, okay, the Motor Traffic Act is saying it's 3 to 5 years for the license to be renewed. But again, the police are found to be, arresting people, drivers to be specific, who do not have license or who do not renew their license. But according to them, their justification that they gave was the fact that it was a policy, instrument that was given. And I was like, should a policy override a legal document? And that was the argument. They do not really want to go into the details, but it's a policy document that the executive came up with. So this is an argument that has been going on and on. But one thing that we were able to come to a consensus with was the fact that they agreed that the Motor Traffic Act was outdated and it needs to be renewed. Because most of the laws there, I mean, those not really tally with the realities on the ground. So I think that is important. So just like the motorcycles, I think it's important for us to look at the realities on the ground and how we should be able to adapt as a country. I think that is important, in as much as the laws are there and they're saying A, B, and C, but it's important to put things into context. What are the realities on the ground?
It's a practical decision, really.
Absolutely.
With us, our problem is, for a very, very long time, we lost sort of our good habits, good practice. What does it mean to run an institution, civil service? We lost it. We were doing simply what suited what one person. There was no good practice. So now we have people manning these institutions. They really do not know it. This is really what's going on here. So we are in a transition. We are having to relearn. You have certain people in positions taking public policy decisions, do not quite understand public policy. They're young, they're naive, do not have the depth of experience to deal with these things. Now we're letting them do certain things. Little wonder that administratively a good number of things are not quite working.
It is what it is.
Thank you, Mr. Mboj, for giving us the time to review the newspapers with us, and of course the African proverb as well. And we are looking forward to engaging you tomorrow as well.
Really?
Yes.
Don't you know when to stop? When enough is enough. Now you're beginning to sit on my nose.
This generation doesn't know when to stop.
I know, you're beginning to sit on my nose, young man.
Yeah, so on that note, we'll take a short break. After the break, the program continues. We'll be right back.
arti webi na fitoragol no yawi te non kadi no moƴƴi kiwmoni a wawa wadde piiji ɗin fow kala ko wonɗa wattu kala a wawa hendade mbuuɗi maɗin e o kiwmoni abke song a wawa nattinde mbuuɗi ma ɗum yaltina soda crédit soda kiw paɓa soda ko falaɗa te non kadi wawa hen yoɓude himɓe e ko heewi ina wawi kadi nuldude kiwmoni yoɓa bilji maɗin te non kadi hendoɗa mbuuɗi ko yaasi nulda himɓe kadi mbuuɗi fi nafitoragol ɗum no weeɓi yahu ka play store ma ɗum ka app store fi wawa fuɗɗade fi heɓugol hen ko laaɓi noddu kiwmoni customer care e 133 kiwmoni suñu kalpe minen udditi lawol ngol si woɓɓe jokki kiwmoni e muruntananne koteke anilañi mobile app sone yariŋo a lannayata ndun e se kuwol be keno ibe dawoda wati o wati e se muna fanno ila kodola anin kiwmoni lañi mobile app kuto e se kodo dundino ye kodo fintinde e se credit ko sanno ye kiw power sang ye feŋol sang ndun fanan e se mol jono anin ku jamalu e se kiwmoni kino yela bilol jo ndun fanan bantala banko se kodo kiyeno e se kodo fanan kino do kotenye pour que muna fanyina a download sign play store anin app store ni laftaka kusenango soto je kiwmoni customer care commandi 133 kiwmoni suñu kalpe ntolle nga silo walang dole mol noma kiwmoni delsina ak sen mobile app bu bes bi orna gawna te hit mun nga ko jëfande ko pour def ci lo buga fo mun dine watu bu ne mun nga jot sa halis ak kiwmoni mobile app bu bes bi mun nga dugal halis génné halis jënd ci credit jënd ci kiw power jënd lo buga ak yu bari mun nga ci yone kiwmoni fay sa bill si jot halis bitim réew yónnee halis ci noo ko bëggee looy def yombana downloadal app bi léegi ca play store bu dul loolu app store pour nga door pour am si lu leer koolal Qmoney customer care si 133 Qmoney suñu kalpe ñoo xaali yoon wi ñeneen toppa.
QCell's Q Prayer and Q Ramadan service reminds you of your 5 daily prayer times and the start and end times for your fast. Simply send prayer to 331 to be reminded of the 5 daily prayer times. Send Ramadan or fast to 332 to be notified of the start and iftar time of fasting on a daily basis. QCell wishes you all a blessed Ramadan. We innovate, others follow.
QCell's Q Prayer kanyung e Q Ramadan service andintintama wattu mo julata darɗe joyɗen fow e wattu mo fuɗɗotoɗa horugol e wattu mo taƴata nuldu prayer ka 331 fi anda wattu mo julata darɗe joyɗen fow nuldu Ramadan maɗum fas ka 332 andintintama wattu mo fuɗɗotoɗa e wattu mo taƴata horugol mangol QCell no duwanoma sumaye wonduɗo e barki minen udditi lawol ngol si woɓɓe jokki.
QCell's Q Prayer anin Q Ramadan service bal kala mutandila la salwati lulola anin wato min be sungodatila anin kate prayer ki 331 prayer hakilo blandi la salwati lulola Ramadan wala fast ki 332 prayer hakilo blandi ibela sungodatila wato minna anin iba tela wato minna lungolum QCell be duwala le sunkari nemarinna ndolla nga silo walang dolia bulanno.
We are back. You're watching QTV this morning. I am Ibrahim Abalde. From that segment there with Mr. Momodu Mbuj, after reviewing some of the stories making headlines, and now, Julde, we move to the National Health Insurance Authority.
Yeah.
It's important for us to take a look at some of the mandates, some of their mandate and the progress since they were established.
Right.
It's significant for us to know some of these institutions, what they've been doing and what they are up to.
Yeah.
So on that note, we have Fatim Ka, PR and Communications Manager, and of course, Aliou Sow, Membership and Enrollment Manager. So, gentlemen and lady, it's good to have you on QTV this morning.
Good morning, and thank you for having us.
Yes.
And Ramadan Mubarak.
Ramadan Mubarak. It's also a pleasure. Fatim, you've been with us here for some time. And you know, we miss you so much. All right. So let's start with Fatim. Can you tell us, I mean, some of the achievements?
Okay. So first I'll start with the NHIS is a government initiative. It was established by an act, the NHIS Act in So far, we have been trying to put the awareness out there as well as rolling out to different facilities. There was a pilot program in 2022 at the Bundung Maternal Health. That is where we first started with our benefit package. And now you'll see that from 1, we rolled out to 13 public facilities. And now we've rolled out from 13 to 54 facilities, making it 67 facilities that we've rolled out. Currently, the scheme has a benefit package. The benefit package entails, it pretty much covers women presenting for delivery and their newborns. So any woman who walks into any of the contracted facilities can have the services that the NHIS covers, and it would be paid for by the scheme. Yes.
Exactly, Julia. I mean,
so looking at the scheme, of course, you did mention that from 13 to 67 facilities, which is quite an achievement. But take us through actually what are some of the areas that you cover? Is it for all individuals, or you have categories of individuals in society that specifically focus on this scheme or benefits from this scheme?
Okay, so currently, as of now, we offer a benefit package only for mothers presenting for delivery and their newborns. So anybody who falls within that category can benefit from the services of the scheme. So if you are a mother presenting for delivery with your newborn, within 7 days while you're admitted in the hospital or out of the hospital, any services that you get within that time frame will be covered by the scheme. If it's a normal delivery, if you had a C-section, then any services within 10 days for you and your newborn will be covered by the scheme. Yes.
So, Mr. So, at this point, let's talk about the enrollment process.
Thank you. So before that, just to add on to what Fatim already talked about, that the NHIS came into service in 2021 through an act of parliament. Currently, like she rightly mentioned, we are into 67 facilities. And we are just doing mothers coming for delivery and their newborn. That doesn't necessarily mean that's where our benefit package stops. We are modest because we have a modest budget for now. So once we are able to acquire more funds, our mandate is to deliver healthcare services, to provide access to healthcare services for residents of the Gambia. And that includes everyone who is residing in the Gambia. So before we talk about the enrollment process, let's talk about the funding. You talked about the funding being very modest, and you know, if there is enough funding, you should be able to do more. I know. How often do you receive funds? Well, like any other government agency, we submit our budget to the National Assembly, and we have something approved for us. So for this year, we got $50 million that have been approved for the scheme. Considering the number of facilities and the population, $50 million is just so little to provide services for everyone. However, it is a good start. At least we have something to start with and to build onto the coming years.
So these 67 facilities that are covered, where is the location? Is it within the Greater Banjul area or the rural areas?
It is all across the 7 regions.
Okay.
So all the way Western 1, Western 2, LRR, URR, we have facilities that we've contracted all across the Gambia.
So the 67 facilities, how do you go about selecting that this is a facility that really needs our attention, and then we should, this scheme should be applied to this facility?
So back at the office, I'll let you elaborate on it. But we have a department called Services and Quality Assurance. So they look at the major hospitals and the general hospitals for now that they can contract. And these are the facilities that can cater to a wider target. So that is how we select these facility. That doesn't mean that we wouldn't roll out to more eventually once we get the funds. But as of now, all the major hospitals, all the major public hospitals have been contracted by the NHIS.
So yeah, thank you. So in terms of selecting the health facilities, there is what is called accreditation. So we have to accredit these facilities. There is a process to follow to make sure that they meet the minimum requirements to deliver the services that we expect them to do. You may also want to know that the NHIA, we are a purchasing agency. We are not necessarily a service provider, and therefore, for us to purchase services, we have to set up standards in order to get what we want for the general public. So in doing so, right now, we decided to do a blanket approval for all the health facilities because we are starting, and we are starting with a very minor or very modest benefit package. So that is why we did a blanket approval for all the public health facilities, at least to give them a starting point so that they are able to get a little funding and improve their services before we start implementing the accreditations. Thank you.
In terms of monitoring, how do you monitor and ensure that these facilities that you're providing services to have the quality healthcare delivery that they deserve?
So as I mentioned, we have a quality assurance unit. The quality assurance works with the regional health directorates who conduct visits to these facilities to ensure that they are meeting the SOPs. They do this visit on a quarterly where they provide reports. However, we also have claims officers in all of these regions who conduct interviews for all of our members. They ask the members, how was your service? Did you receive these services? How did they treat you? So all of these, once these SOPs are met, we also provide performance-based financing. So these facilities don't only get reimbursement for the claims, but they also get reimbursement for performing up to par.
So in terms of the money, we are talking about transparency here, and according to what he said, $50 million was allocated to them. Is it this year?
Yes.
How do you go about allocating these funds to the various facilities?
And how do you determine, okay, this facility needs it more?
So, all right. So, let me come on to that. So, the 50 million, let me make this clear first.
Okay.
It's not that it has been given to the NHI. It has been budgeted.
Oh, not yet given.
Yes. So, what happens is, at the end of every month, the Minister of Finance decide on how much each ministry, unit, department, agency gets. So it doesn't necessarily mean we have a 50 million line there waiting for us. In terms of distributing the money, we don't distribute the money based on facility or because he needs it more. It's based on how much services you have provided. So if you provide more services, you provide more delivery. It's a performance-based, number-based. So the more you deliver, the better services you provide, the likely you will get more money.
So this is paid to the facility. You know, do you have an individual who go and monitor, these, payments to make sure they are done accordingly?
Funds.
Yes, we do.
We have a director of audit. The director goes on a quarterly basis to audit these funds that we give them. Remember, we're not only reimbursing claims, but we're also giving you performance-based. And also, we need to know if the service that you actually put there that you offered to the patient was actually offered. So that is why the director of audit would go into these facilities and do an audit on how these funds were used. But also, we're trying to pump as much money into these facilities so that it will get to a point where they will have the equipment they need. They would have enough incubators. They would have enough of everything to provide the better services for our members. So we audit all of it.
But how do you gauge the performance?
So in terms of gauging the performance, we have, once a member is enrolled, so this member, we have a system an electronic system where our members are enrolled. So once the enrollment is done, it means this member is eligible to receive services. And when they receive the services that have been that they are providing them has already been costed with monies attached to each services. So what we do at the end of the quarter or at the end of the month, even before the quarter, these facilities, they submit those claims. And we have verifications officers at the facilities who will go and verify that these services has actually been provided according to our prescribed standards. So once that is okay, it is now sent to us to do another step of vetting, which we have a full claims office who are responsible for that. Once that process is completed, then the payment is made. The payment is also made into two forms, like paying for the claims and also paying for the performance. The performance is to ensure quality service delivery. So these payments are joined together and paid to these facilities. But even before doing the payment, there would have been a contract that have been signed between us and the facilities. I'm sure you have seen last week when we were doing the rollout, extending to other for the contract signing. So this contract guides how these monies are going to be spent, on what items are these monies going to be spent, even before them receiving it. So once they receive the money, our internal audit also can always go back and check where this money has been spent on. Was it spent on the medication? Was it spent on improving service qualities and so forth? So there's an entire process to make sure that the monies are being followed and they are being monitored, because health insurance is expensive, it's involved a lot of money, and therefore it requires a proper monitoring and auditing process.
So
Julia,
go ahead.
So in terms of those that are qualified to actually benefit from this scheme, who are those? Because it's a national health insurance scheme. Doesn't mean it's everybody or Gambians, non-Gambians.
So in terms of eligibility, our act clearly states that the membership to the scheme is for every resident of the Gambia. What that means, every person living in the Gambia, whether you're a Gambian or a non-Gambian. However, for non-Gambians, to be a resident is also defined that you have to be in the country for a period of at least 180 days, that is 6 months. And that now makes you to be eligible. But also, you have to be officially registered as a non-resident, either by having a non-Gambian ID or a residential permit. So currently, we're just doing the new mothers and their newborns. So for you to be enrolled, like you mentioned before, we skipped the enrollment part, right? For you to be enrolled in the scheme, you need to have the new electronic birth certificate. You recall in 2021 there was a mass campaign when a lot of Gambians and non-Gambians equally went out to seek for the National Health Insurance Card and the electronic birth certificate. So this is the card and that you use. If you have either of them, you can be enrolled, because the NIN numbers are what we use. Remember, we had an electronic system, so we are more interested in the NIN number, which is the same as the one on the birth certificate and the one on the health insurance card. So once you have this as a newborn or a woman coming for delivery, you present your card. Our enrollment officers are in the health facilities, and they have been trained on the system on how to do the enrollment. So they acquire the card and take your NIN number and enroll you into the system. So once that is done, you are now ready to receive service.
So we are running out of time.
Finally, what has been the impact of this scheme since its inception on the overall quality of Gambians, especially mothers and their babies?
We've seen a lot of change that the scheme has come with. A lot of mothers struggle with how to pay for these services. And now that the services is covered by the scheme, they get services up to 10 days or 7 days, depending on the type of delivery they have. And now the scheme doesn't just stop here, but it goes across the Gambia in all 7 regions. So we've seen the impact that it has. We have a toll-free number where we get calls 1022, and people ask us about the scheme because they're becoming more aware of the scheme and the services that it offers. So the impact is huge. I think moving forward, you'll definitely see a lot of the NHIS and the services that we offer. They're coming with a lot of noise because we want the people who are not aware to be aware that there is a scheme that can cover these services that you can benefit from.
Yes, exactly. I was talking about the communication process. I mean, how is this information getting to the general public? Because it's like they need to know. It's important to know these things.
Yes, it is. And that is why we started with a press conference where all the media houses came and they asked us questions about a lot about the service, and also we moved to the rollout from 13 to 67. We have radio ads in some of the top radio stations of the country. We have a toll-free number 1022 that you can call. We have a call center. So moving forward, we're coming up with a lot of strategies to enhance this communication.
Thank you very much, Fatim and Mr. Sow, for coming. And we are looking forward to engage you more on this program.
Thank you very much.
So Julde, this is all we have. We'll be returning here tomorrow again.
Inshallah.
Yes, tomorrow, inshallah, for another edition of QTV This Morning. Until then, have a wonderful day.